Hello and welcome to Bendy, a podcast about being flexible in all of the ways that means. Thanks for joining us. My name is Andy Young and I'm one of your actualized transcendent hosts. Joining me as always is our other actualized and transcendent host, Beth Martin. Beth, a pleasure as always. What's the crack with
Andy,
you this week?
sorry. What does the actualized mean?
So actualized is mean, as far as I understand, is like you've reached your peak potential in whatever. If you're
Oh, right.
actualized, you're the best version of you can possibly be. And the
So
way,
we've,
yeah, we've both completed mental health, right? So we're
yes,
yeah,
we checked that box.
yeah. So
I
Beth,
love
what
it.
is the crack with you?
What is the crack? So Mike's back from Vegas. Yay. So that means that I
Nice.
have I have help again, and also
Hmm.
means that the projects begin. So
Of
we're out
course.
staining the concrete in the backyard. Don't know why, but we're doing it. And
And it's
apparently
done.
that's what you do with houses. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm trying something new.
Hmm.
It's called the it's called the Pomodoro technique.
Oh, I've heard of this.
Yes. So I am like in such procrastination land. I cannot dig myself out of it. I'm not doing yoga.
Yeah.
I'm not, for our listeners, like I'm writing a book. I'm like
Hmm.
I'm like three-quarters of the way done. Can't write, can't look at it. I'm working
Mm.
on some of like trying to get some of my dad's screenplays going, can't look at them. So I was talking to a friend and she was like, "Oh, have you heard of the tomato timer?" And I was like, "What?" And she was like, "The tomato timer technique." And she was like, "It's some Italian or someone." So the guy's name is Francisco Cirillo,
Hmm.
and created this technique where you actually have a literal tomato timer. I'll upload some me using it onto whatever platform so people can actually see it's the cutest thing ever. And so you basically like divide up your tasks and you do the thing for like 15 to 25 minutes. And then you take like a 5 minute break. And then you
Oh.
do the other thing for like
Hmm.
15 to 25 minutes and then you take a break. But that way you do something,
Yeah.
even if it's not all of the things. And so I've started procrastinating that.
Yeah. Oh, procrastinating on the Pomodoro technique.
And the Pomodoro
Amazing.
technique. But it's really exciting because I know, like, I've tried using my phone for this,
Uh-huh.
but then I get on my phone and I'm like, oh, let me look at this thing and let me check that, and texting. And so it literally just like takes the phone element out of it, which is one of my
Yes.
goals these days in general, right? Because it's become all the things and that drives me crazy.
I hear
And
you.
don't even get me started on uh two-layer authentication using my phone to get
Yeah.
into anything. So it's literally just a little cute tomato timer that sits on my desk and I use it. And
I like it.
so thanks.
I
Thank
it
you.
it definitely does sound, you're welcome. It definitely does sound familiar. I think I've heard of that before. I don't think I knew the name because it's something that I had.
Because you're
Well,
smart.
because I'm super smart, yeah. Is something I had tried in terms of like some of my creative stuff was going at least do 5 minutes a day or whatever. And because you can always find 5 minutes. And oftentimes you'll find that if you start doing 5 minutes of something, then maybe it'll flow a little bit more and you can get more done. You can have a productive session. But certainly in recent months, probably yeah, certainly recent months, I just haven't had time at all. But I hope to. And I've kind of now carved out what I hope are like 2 afternoons a week that I can use to do creative stuff. Let's see how, like in recent time it's been bogged down with other things, but my hope is that I can use that productively, but we'll see how it goes.
That's good. Do you want to flip the crack to you?
Sure.
What's the
Okay.
crack?
What's the crack with me? So I guess I'm still kind of doing a lot with the choir. We're building up towards our like Christmas concert, which is going to be happening on the 13th of December.
I
And
feel like I asked you this already. Are you guys gonna stream it?
no, the reason
Okay.
why we're not is because you have to like there's a whole rights thing with
Ooh,
stuff like
gotcha.
that that just gets really it gets dodgy.
I'm realizing that there was a lot of you guys can opt out of a lot in the UK and Ireland.
Yeah.
Like I
Yes,
can't
with the
collect
digital rights stuff.
analytic.
Yeah,
Yes, so like
yeah,
analytics, I'm not getting
yeah. That's
from your
fairly,
countries.
yeah. It's a
I can say
minefield.
countries. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because it
Okay,
was
keep going.
all of Europe, but yes. And what was I? Oh yes, choir. So, yeah. So it's just been a lot. I think hopefully I'm going to be in a bit of a better place this week, and things are going to start settling down. But yeah, that's been drawing a lot of my focus over the past week, I would say. So that's
How much
correct
time
for
do you
me.
spend on that, do you think?
Oosh. I
That was a
mean,
face. That was a face you just made.
I really don't know. Like, I mean, I'd say whenever it gets super busy for a while there, when things settle down, I was maybe doing a couple of hours a week. But I'd say at the minute it's probably closer to like, I don't know, probably a day's worth of work. So probably 7 or 8 hours a lot of the time, just with various bits and pieces. Like that's including the rehearsal itself and stuff and the kind
Okay.
of build up for that and things, but it's not insubstantial, whenever I'm trying to make ends meet in other ways. I mean, again, I really like it. I really am excited about it, and I'm really excited to see where we go with it. Um, but yeah, it has been. It's also been like such a learning curve because I haven't really done anything like this before. I've never organized anything of any sort of size. I mean, I've certainly organized smaller groups of folks, but like this is a much bigger project. But the exciting thing about it is I had a meeting last week and with other groups who are doing stuff in the Carrickfergus area, and they really liked how I was getting on, and I was talking to them about the frustrations of like earning money trying off by yourself, and it's a possibility of maybe finding something in that sector, which is kind of
Yeah.
exciting, and that's not something that I had anticipated or
Yeah.
planned on. So it's just really lovely, the kind of things that you get just from building these connections that you don't you know
It's nice to do something and then somehow it turns into a job offer.
yes, yeah, very much so.
Yeah,
So
that would
lovely.
be amazing. And you would be like, yeah, I mean, I'm already, yeah, I'm already, my wheels are turning, but are you guys charging like tickets?
Yeah. So what we're gonna
Okay.
do is it's been a bit tricky to this is another thing of figuring out is I am putting a donation price in our Eventbrite um event. So basically I know I couldn't
Good
think what
description.
I write. So basically I'm asking if people can either pay £2, £5, or £10, and like any money they pay supports the choir basically.
Mhm.
So that's what I've put in there. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what we get from it.
That's awesome. I'm proud of you. This is
Thank
like a
you.
big deal. Yeah.
It is a big deal. It is a big deal, and it's just not something I anticipated at all. At the start of this year, if you told me I was doing this, I would have went, "No, no, you're not."
Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh,
And
uh-huh.
yet here I
I
am.
guess, yes, we can say that about a lot of things.
Ah, yeah. Welcome to my life.
I
Both our lives, I suppose.
guess, as it was.
I
What?
know.
It doesn't make any sense. As it were?
As it were, as it was, as it were. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Okay, I don't understand what you're saying.
We're in the right area though, right? Kind
I
of
think so.
people
I
have
think
got
so.
people are vibing with us, right? And that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Okay, so we thought of a business
Hmm.
co corner name.
Business
So
corner.
right, but it's
So, Beth, what's occurring?
what's what's occurring,
What's occurring?
which means what's going on, what's happening, what's
Yeah,
occurring.
yeah. I mean,
So
like, yeah.
I have good news for you.
Oh
I was
yeah.
able to get some data from
Ooh,
some random person that emailed us that our comedy podcast is number 136 in Ireland. I
nice.
know. We broke the 200 barrier.
That's nuts.
And we're 91st for comedy podcasts in Pakistan. So we've got that going
Yes.
for us. Um, so I started a YouTube channel where we post the actual like podcast for people to listen to, but I'm also putting shorts up. So I like edit down these videos that we make into funny things or whatever. Some people think they're funny. And I did the one where you were describing mirthful.
Yeah, I saw that one, and you did the one with me doing the wasp
Yes.
joke as well.
Yeah. But mirthful is getting the most views.
No way, really?
Yes.
So funny. This is why I've started dressing nicer, because I'm like, we're gonna get the video. So I'm like, I got a nice jumper on.
A jumper is a shirt, right? A sweater?
A sweater, yeah.
Okay. Like a Macintosh?
No, I think
is that a
I
bag?
would maybe describe what you're wearing as a jumper as well. So a kind of woolen, long sleeved top garment. Oh no, that's not good. I fell apart at the end there.
It's okay. So I thought that was funny. Also, I'm captioning this podcast, which is they give you options sometimes. You can do English UK or English USA, and neither of them can figure out what you're saying half the time. So it's like you said 6 and it kept saying sex on the caption, and something you were saying and it was like blah blah blah, and what you said was completely different, but it said, the caption said vaccine, and so it's just like, I'm like, we're getting flagged.
Quite interesting.
It
so
is.
Sex and vaccine podcast.
Sexy vaccine podcast. I'm dying when I like, and I'm not changing or editing them because they're just too funny. So if you want a good laugh, no, just read the captions on any of the shorts that we're posting. We got a shout out from our friends Pedro and Leah, who own a surfing school in south of Lisbon. It's in Lisbon. So I just wanted to say thank you. They're amazing. And also, if anyone's in Portugal, go to this surfing school. They're amazing. It's www.salionsurfing.com. Great teachers.
Yeah.
Great staff. They have a restaurant there. And so you can, the food is amazing, right?
It was.
So yeah. So hey guys, and thank you. And we're just plugging your business.
Yeah. We love you.
We love you. Yes. That's what's occurring.
That's what's occurring. Nice. I like to hear it.
Yes,
I hope you're well updated. I think, I suppose I have to give a smoke update. I am still sometimes smelling smoke. Yeah, I'm going to see
weird.
I'm going to talk to the doctor about it this week. So see what happens.
It's so weird.
It is. It's my brain very slowly failing probably at this juncture, but we'll find out soon, I guess.
Why couldn't it be candy? I
agree completely. Like, I mean, if it was something nice, I wouldn't want it fixed.
There's not much I hate more than the smell of it. Like, is it cigarette smoke or like
it kind of
burning
is,
house?
It's not quite as intense as cigarette smoke, but it doesn't have that like sharpness to it, but it has a similar character for sure.
I think you have a peeping Tom that's like staring in your window smoking cigarettes.
Smoking cigarettes is quite possible. I gotta keep my eyes open for peeping Toms. It would be hard to peep into this house, but yeah, I mean, I appreciate their effort if they're doing that. And also, smoking is ballsy. If you're peeping at somebody and you're smoking, geez Louise.
You do not give a fuck.
No, clearly not.
All right. I think that's all that's all the news.
That's all the news.
That's all the news. Anything else you want to add?
No, I don't think so.
Keep us posted on your smelling smoke.
Yeah.
When do you go to the doctor?
I'm gonna talk to him on Wednesday. So
okay.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. Fingers crossed.
Well, give us an update.
Thanks.
Or it might be a stalker.
Yeah, or maybe a stalker. That's what we'll find out. I just set up cameras around the house as well, so we can
you should.
We can rule out both options.
Okay. All right. Do you want to move on to our topic of the day?
Yes, please.
So we are going to talk about emotional health. So I'm just going to read a quick disclaimer. This is a sensitive topic for many. So Bendy the podcast and content posted by Bendy the podcast is presented solely for general informational, educational, and entertainment purposes. Listeners should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice from any medical or mental health condition they may have, and should seek assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions.
Yeah, that's
And now
perfect.
let's bare our souls.
Dun, dun, dun. Like I yeah, and I think, that's probably, we should say that about, like, I mean, all of what we are talking about is just our experiences anyway.
Yeah,
And to me, I find it's useful hearing other people's experiences because it makes me feel less alone with these things a lot of the time. And
agreed.
I think that's kind of what we're trying to do with this when we talk about it a little bit. If, from both of us talking a little bit openly about this sort of subject, if it's helpful to somebody in any way at all, then amazing. But it should not replace, speaking to somebody, an actual professional.
Exactly. Way to
Yeah.
summarize what I just said.
Yeah. Thank you. We need to fill
You,
we need to fill minutes here, Beth. Okay.
I know. You just don't want to talk about this.
No, you know me. I
You,
am an open
I
book.
know. I
And
know.
I actually, so just because I was a little bit worried about, in case it gets too intense. So there is a meme that I love. Do you know the sort
Mhm.
of the format of the meme is men will literally and then something nuts and then it's like, but instead of going to therapy meme, do you know that one?
Uh-huh. Uh-uh. It's like similar to there was another one rolling around that was like describing like a hairball that someone had in their stomach, and it was like the size of a hot dog and as heavy as a potato, and like the
Oh,
way it was described, it was like Americans will do anything to avoid the metric system.
I love it.
So I got you.
Do you want me to give you an example? I've got one
Yes.
written out that I created. I think it's mine. I'm sure somebody else has
Okay.
had this thought elsewhere. So men will literally find the one ring, put together a fellowship, break that fellowship, then travel to the peak of Mount Doom instead of going to therapy. So like that, right?
Yes.
So I'll try to drop those. If things are getting too
Please do.
tense, we'll just
Yes, I
drop
like
in
it.
a way men will rather. Okay.
Okay. Okay. And I just want to begin this by saying thank you to you for being open enough to talk about this,
Of course.
because well, it's not of course.
Yeah, you're right.
You are, this is something that you and I talk about a lot, but the
True.
fact that you're open enough to talk about it and you're vulnerable enough to talk about it, it just shows a lot of strength of your own, and like getting to the point where you are able to talk about it. And as not to point out the fact that you are a male, but you
Yeah.
are.
What?
And I know, sorry, surprise.
Blowing up my spot.
I know, right? But it's not something that I think given your culture and,
It's true.
it's not something that's spoken about. And so if this podcast episode helps anybody to open up to a friend, like that would be
Yeah.
like, if it just helps one person to do that, and then get thee to therapy, yay, then
Yes.
so I just want to say thank you.
No, yes, thank you for saying that. You
Mhm,
didn't, yeah,
mhm.
I appreciate it. Yeah, because I often am like, yeah, whatever. But you're right, it's true. And I mean, um I know that it's still, I feel like certainly these days I'm hearing a lot of people kind of go, oh, well, it's getting a lot better. And then by just saying that sentence, then they're done. It's like sweet, things are changing. And I'm like,
Right.
yeah, but still, it's still tough to have like those conversations, or I don't know, we can talk a bit more. We're going to get into it. Do you want to lead off with the question, or shall I lead off with the question?
I'm gonna I can I'll start.
Okay.
How I'm choosing to use the word emotional health
Yes, I like it.
because mental health is, I feel like it focuses too much on one thing. Like, does your
Yeah.
brain work? Do you need medication? As opposed to like this whole other, like, mind body. It's, the yoga, the mind body spirit.
Yeah.
You can't have okay mental health without having okay emotional health. I think that those go hand in hand. So with that in mind, how generally is your emotional health these days, Bendy?
Yeah, it's like I would say it's not been great. It's such an interesting thing in terms of, I think as soon as I started paying more attention to it, and just quickly for people who don't know, I guess over the past 5 years, I have done, well, okay, actually, let's go a bit further back. I guess I first started noticing these sort of deep sort of dips in my late teens, early 20s. I initially made the effort to try to talk to a doctor in my mid 20s, and he essentially gave me a form, and like, because I when I start talking about this stuff, especially when I'm trying to really talk about it in detail, as you know, because for like mental health professionals that's useful, like I will cry quite quickly. And so like there was this young doctor, and he just panicked, and he gave me a form, and he left the room, and he did not come back into the room. And it put me, I know it's not good. And that put me off for years, and until I went back again.
That's gonna
Probably,
make me cry.
I know. So like probably like 6 or 7 years later, in like early 30s, I went back, and there was a doctor there, and like Doctor, well, I don't know what's her name, but who, she was so kind, and she really kind of set me off on a path, and she kind of got me on to do some CBT. And then I was going to speak to a
Just
uh,
to
mhm.
CBT is cognitive behavioral therapy for
Yes,
those that don't know.
it's kind of like a toolbox to kind of sort of a mental toolbox to help deal with some emotional stuff. And I think there's value there. I didn't find it super useful for me. There's still stuff that I took from it that I still kind of use, that I like, but it wasn't really a good fit for me. I was then going to do therapy, and this was all via the NHS. And I was about to start doing that, but then I got myself a girlfriend, and you get yourself a girlfriend, all your mental health problems are solved, right?
Right.
So I didn't bother
Until they're not.
until they're not. I didn't bother until that relationship ended, and then I had some pretty bad times. Did some more CBT. Got into therapy. Therapy really helped me process a lot of stuff. Has had been really good for me. Certainly, my first therapist. I then spent a little bit more time in therapy last year. I want to say about 12 months, I think.
Mhm.
Um, and that's up to where I am now. I think I would like to always be in therapy, but it's very expensive. And I so like I just can't I can't afford it right now, sadly. But so I think my mental health is okay at the minute. I had a particularly bad dip over the past few days, so it's tough for me to give a sort of accurate judgment on it. I think I've mostly been good. I think like doing things like this, the podcast has really helps. The choir really helps. But I have definitely had some really deep, dark sort of moments over the past few years in particular. Like yeah, and it's tough because especially now, I have the tools to deal with a lot of this stuff sometimes.
Mhm.
Like um so it means that whenever I hit a really bad spot, and I'm then unable to kind of deal with it, or not get pulled in, I take it a lot harder. I really kind of then because I'm blaming myself, that then feeds it, and it just kind of makes it a lot worse. Um, so I'm okay, I would say, but um I'm still in this. I don't think I'll ever stop. I'm still like in this period of like constant vigilance, and it's just a lot and tiring a lot of the time.
I understand.
Um, what about you?
It's interesting. I think mine, I've had, it's been a roller coaster of a couple decades.
Yeah.
Like I think mine, it was more situational. My dad died in 2007, and that just like rocked my, it split me in half. And then I'd never really had anything that awful happen.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm gonna be super vulnerable here. He had cancer for 3.5 years, and he didn't let my mom tell anyone, so I didn't know until a week before he passed away. So that was just like shock on top of shock, I
Yeah.
guess. And then, to think back, like those 3.5 years and like what could I have done differently and
Yeah.
all this, it's like, oh, so then I just like tanked. And they kept trying to put me on different antidepressants, but none of them, I would have bad reactions. And I wasn't sleeping. And when you don't sleep, like my insomnia has always been part of my life, but then it really got really bad. And I didn't really have any coping mechanisms at that point. I didn't know how to deal with grief. I refused, to go to therapy. I refused to go to like grief sessions. I just literally dealt with it by not dealing with it, I
Yeah.
guess. I just worked and worked and worked and avoided it as long as I could. And then it was about the time where we decided, like, okay, we think we're gonna have kids. And I was like, all right, I gotta get my shit together here.
Yeah.
So I went to it's not EMDR therapy, but it's very similar, where it's basically what happens, like, um I'm gonna botch this up, and listeners, like, if you have more information, send it to me and
Yeah.
I'll add it to our website. But it's basically like your whole you go into almost like a trance, and your whole body shakes, and you're like off gassing all of this trauma energy. So I started there. And then she was like, okay, you're done. And I was like, what? And she's like, yep, this is the last, like, you're good. And it wasn't like, here's the next step, like go talk to someone. It was just like, you're done now. And I was like, I felt like I'd been broken up with. So and then yeah, I started seeing a therapist, and basically I started to get my act together, therapy, doing a little bit more yoga. And then I was like, I'm good. Things are good. I'm good enough. Like, it's good enough, right? I'm good
Yes.
enough. I'm
Yeah.
good enough. And then I got COVID, and then I got long COVID, and then I was bedridden for like 2.5 years, and I lost everything. I had lost my job. Like, I literally couldn't, I was slowly dying, and it was just a really difficult thing to go through.
Yeah.
And that was the most depressed I've ever been. And I'm still coming out of it, and I'm still working through it. But I will say, like, um, there were days that I didn't want to be in my body anymore. There were days where I couldn't see a future at all.
Yeah.
And so it took a lot of different types of therapies. I'm now seeing a therapist every week, and I'm seeing a psychotherapist once a month, and we're trying different medications. And I have no, because of COVID, my body doesn't create serotonin or dopamine,
Hmm. Hmm.
which are things that will help you feel better, right?
Yeah.
But anything that we try and introduce into my body, I have a bad reaction to it. So we're just kind of like throwing darts at the wall. And
Experimenting.
so I tried one last week, and it was just like, it made me more anxious. And so I'm better than I was, absolutely, for sure. But I I say, like, I'll just say, like, I have, I think, similar um responses to when I am in the depressive mode, where it's like, okay, it's my fault, or what did I do to get here again? Or like, I blame myself for it, even though
Yeah.
I know it's just like, it's not my fault. It's just, it's how my body's built right now, or whatever happened to it. And, it's not, my body works so hard for me, and I'm so hard on it. And so I'm trying to sort of bridge that a little bit more. So yeah, that's a really long answer to your question.
No, it is. I mean, like I gave a really long answer too. It was very,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was
No, it's
interesting.
good. So yeah, it's I will say, like, I'm just going to echo what you said, and I'm not going to use the word that you use because I can't remember it, but um it's it's maintenance all the time.
It
And
is,
it will always be maintenance all the time for the
and
rest of my life.
there's something quite like exhausting about that, and like in a way that is very hard. I know other people who understand it, but a lot of people don't. And and it's, or like, I don't know whether this is me or whether this is a real reaction that people give you, or people tell you you're being dramatic, or you know what I mean, and that's very frustrating. That's
Yeah.
maddening.
Yeah.
um but it's, I I suppose, like, I think I've talked to you about it in these terms before, and I think it's a useful way to think about it. Certainly for me, is that I know what sad is. I've been sad before. I've been really sad. But this is different, and it's sad is something that fades over time, and can stay with you and can keep things with you. But this is like, can be sudden. It can be triggered by nothing really, and it has this sort of really terrifying pull to
Mhm.
it that is can feel really inescapable, and almost like, I don't know, welcoming at times as well. It's like, this is the
A
solution.
familiar. Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Exactly. And I think that certainly, and I know that other people feel that, feel that, or feel something similar to that. And again, as always, all I can do is talk about my experience with it. But I it's it's like it's like you're at the edge of a whirlpool, and it's just pulling you in and in and in, and you can't do anything about it. And sometimes then, certainly for me, the frustration I feel at being unable to deal with it just makes me spin faster into that whirlpool.
Mhm.
um it's really difficult, and it's I don't know about you, how you feel about this, but like, I feel like I've done a pretty good job. No, I think I do a very good job. It's one of the things I think I'll give myself credit for, that, and it's not all good, but like, I do a very good job of putting a version of myself out into the world that is complete and is functional, and um can, be relied upon, and whatever. But like, that takes so much energy, so much of my energy to do so often. And um it's hard to it's really hard to keep that up. It's really hard to keep that up while you're also trying to maintain whatever shit's going on internally as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wish that more people, you know, it's like what begets what, if you share that part of yourself with the world, does it, like, what would happen, right? Would it
Yeah.
would it make the depression and the whirlpool and the deep dark worse? Or would it freak people out? Or like, these
Yeah.
are things, like, as a society, at least in our culture, like, we haven't made that leap as far. And like, I wonder, like, what would happen if, you know, it's kind of like commercials that are like, they skirt around whatever they're trying to sell, and they should just be like, it's a deodorant commercial, you smell
Yes.
bad, right?
Yeah.
Put this on your armpit so you don't smell like
Oh,
shit.
great. Okay. Yeah.
Right. So it's like, if we just put it all out there, like, and said what was really happening, what would actually happen, and I don't know if it's different in your culture than it is in mine. And there are times that I have shared, like, okay, like, I'm in bed and I've been in bed for a year,
Yeah.
like, and people are like, holy moly, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Um, and that's been both good and bad, I think.
Yes.
But I wonder if in the UK, like, is that even an option for you?
Um, like, I think we're even more stoic in, like, you know, the like British or the English term stiff upper lip sort of thing, you
Yeah,
know, it's
yeah.
like and it's just like bury these things down, but it's like that's so damaging, and you see how damaging it is in with people. Um and so I think like I mean I should have checked the figures. I know that like Northern Ireland has a problem with like suicide and things like that, you know, because we are such a sort of like just bury it all on the inside. And like I have literally had the advice from people to like when talking about this was like, can you not just bury it down on the inside? Which is wild to me.
Wow.
Because it's like, what do you think? Do you think it just goes away if you do that? It doesn't. You know, it absolutely doesn't. It's and yeah, and I see like the impact that I see how that attitude impacts, you know, so many levels of our culture. Do you know what I mean? And so much of the sort of, you know, a big, strong, angry man type thing, you know, and how
Mhm.
not dealing with your own emotions then leads to negative outcomes for that person and for the people around you, you know. And it feels like such a worse way of dealing with it rather than actually maybe looking inwards and having a kind of honest sort of appraisal of what's going on with you.
Mhm. Do you feel like people expect you to like you're funny, right? You're just a funny human being. The things
Thank
you
you.
post are funny. Um, it does bring me laughter and joy when, I see something funny that you post, but knowing you, like, and I do know the effort that goes into that. Um, I guess, are you doing that for you or are you doing that for other people?
Hmm. Like I think I've said this to you before in terms of like I because I don't have a lot of sort of internal resources for like self-esteem.
Mhm,
I kind of, I mean, that's true and it isn't true. Like you know, this is a longer sort of thing because I feel like when I really think about it, there's a lot of things that I, you know, can admit I do well, and I think I've got a lot of strengths, but like it's hard sometimes just in the moment to see those and to like, you know, to use those to kind of, I don't know, boost myself up. So I think I present a version of myself out into the world so that people will like me and I'll get those sort of, you know, that lift from that. But I think I've told you before about it before, where I feel like so often I'm kind of like, oh, please like me, please like me, please like me. And then whenever I am convinced, or when I think people like me, and that takes a while, I'm kind of like, you like me? What the fuck's wrong with you? You
mhm,
know, which is
mhm.
so messed up, you know, and it's like I don't know. And like it's been that way for me for like as I think I've only really been able to isolate that and think about it in that way in recent years, but it's absolutely the pattern of my life, you know.
Mhm.
And it's like it then creates this kind of dissonance where I'm wondering whether, you know, this version of myself that I present into the world, is that what people like? Is that me? You know, I don't know. And it's like, and then that's, you know, those are the sort of cracks in your psyche that I think the sort of mental health stuff then, sorry, emotional health stuff then exploits. You know, it's like, yeah, there's a chink in the armor here, you know, and then it just kind of can crack you open from there.
Mhm. Or you can just concrete it and then stuff it down.
Yeah. Or what do you call plasterboard? Do you? I don't know if you
Yeah.
have plasterboard. Okay, it's
No.
just like it's just like sticky tape. It's more likely than concrete, I think.
Right, right.
Just sticky tape your mental health
Yeah,
problems together.
that's right.
Yeah. Yeah. And then let's just like smack it and go, that's fine.
Do you have a question?
um,
Or do you wanna
oh, I do have a question. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I actually I do because so I and I think I've got a thought on this as well. But do you think there are upsides to emotional health issues? And if so, what do you think they are?
That's a really good question. I think that there are upsides to emotional health issues if you are capable of self-reflection.
Yes.
And I think we're surrounded by some people that are just don't have that capability of self-reflection.
Right.
And
or like a fear of even trying the self-reflection. Yeah.
yes. And I what do we call it? The conscious observer, where you're kind of like looking at yourself from the outside.
Yeah.
And I think that I do think that there is an upside. I think the upsides are you get to know yourself better.
Yeah.
I think that you add, we always say like tools to our tool belt.
Yeah.
That some things work for us, some things don't, and I think a sort of a product of being in this place that I didn't anticipate is that people come to me for advice,
Yeah.
and they come to me saying, "Oh, I have similar issues. What do I do with all of this?" And then I can recommend, things that I've tried, EMDR, CBT,
Yeah.
transcendental meditation, so it's broadened my, I would also say it's broadened my worldview on what other cultures use to help their emotional health, like meditation, like yoga,
Yeah.
Transcendental meditation came from, I'm going to say it, Himalayan
Hmm.
mountains. Depends on where you are and how you pronounce it, but that's been almost a fascinating part of it for me, where I'm like, this is so cool, I want to learn about this, and then all of a sudden I'm not so much in the whirlpool or the deep dark well, but I'm
Yeah.
reading a book about something that could be helpful. So um
That's a good answer.
what's your answer to that? That's a really good question.
I think, like, and I think this is, I mean, who knows, but like, I think my, a lot of the sort of darker aspects of this are a symptom of me being feeling things so deeply. Um, I think I have gained more empathy as a result, but I think I've already always been quite empathic in that sort of way. I think I've always really strongly been affected by strong emotions around me, and like, they can really lift me high or they can really take me down. Um, and I think that, and I love that in a way. Like, I love that I have the capacity for that. I think I will kind of like, I think I feel things in a way that a lot of other people don't. And I mean, that's amazing and sometimes, but it's absolutely awful other times. And I don't, and as much as like the awful times, I really kind of wish they didn't happen a lot. I don't think if a fix for this was that I also lost out on the amazing feelings, then I don't know that I would take it, because it would be, too great a loss. Um, so I think that's it for me. I think, because I think it is just that I am like, we've talked before in terms of like, I am soft, and I don't mean that in a, and like, I know that a lot of girls soft. Can you imagine? Like, for a man, I don't care. Like, I am like, I'm sensitive, I'm emotional, I struggle with a lot of things that, some certain things that people seem to take in their stride. I really do, but like, I don't care, because like, I think those are the things that kind of make me um more unique and hopefully interesting, I guess. But like, they are, so yeah, so even though it comes with a lot of sort of, um a lot of troughs, it comes with a lot of peaks as well, I guess.
We call them peaks and valleys.
Peaks and valleys, okay.
Yeah.
Is trough a word that you use in
It
America?
is for like, that's what pigs eat out of.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah. It's the pig trough. Um, so can I ask you a question
Of
then?
course.
would you say that that soft self that is
Mhm.
inherently who you are, and I know this about you because
Yes.
I am also soft,
Yes.
which is why we can just be like two pillows together.
Straight.
But would you say that's the real you?
Um, Probably, yeah. I mean, it's close. I think so. And I think it's like if I'm in a good way and I'm feeling okay about myself, I think that is what people respond to in me. Like, and I
Mhm,
think it's true for both of us. Like, people really respond well to both of us and really like both of us. And like,
mhm.
but I would say that for both of us would be like, what the fuck are you talking about sometimes? Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
Like,
yes,
we
yes,
reject that, a
yes,
little.
yes, yes.
And like, and I do, definitely I do, it's I really kind of push it away. And um I had a conversation with a friend recently, and I was like talking about that, and I was like, I just wish I could live in that. I really do. Like, I wish I could, I don't know, make a wee home there because it feels nice, but I don't. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Sorry, what was the question there? I think I kind of got distracted.
No, no, you're good. You're following the whatever like
Path,
meandering path. It's fine. I just asked if that soft part of yourself is really like because you're trying to really like hone in on who you are,
yeah,
and is that who you are?
it is, and it's like, and I think it's something that I really pushed down for so many years because um, you know, men aren't soft, right? So we're told, at least anyway.
Right.
And like, and like, here's the thing about that as well is that like, and I don't say this as a kind of reaction to this, but like, I'm strong in a lot of ways, like, I can see my strengths in a lot of ways, and I'm again in my good moments happy I am the way I am, but like, I think that yeah, it very much is the way it's made in my core, I think, and it's I've
Mhm,
always kind of struggled with that because you know um I think can speak broadly about the West. Again, my experience with the West is that like it is still kind of men are supposed to be a certain way, and I'm not really that way. And that's kind of then it's kind of tough to reconcile that. And it's kind of tough to kind of know your place in the world whenever you don't fit in that sort of box, I guess.
yeah, that makes sense. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Um, so I let's see, I have some questions, but I guess
Can,
what do you do for yourself when you're having a down day? Like what are the things where you're like, all right, Andy, like
um
do you wallow? Do you
huh, it's a good question. I um It depends. And like it depends what sort of I can pull myself out of it sometimes, and it's fine. I am really struggling these days to spend time by myself. Like, it's really bad. And
It's
um
super hard. That's
oh,
a thing for you too?
oh yeah, it's a nightmare. It's got worse in recent time, and like I'm really struggling even to like enjoy downtime or like watching shows. Like, I'm so like, my friend like sent me a movie to watch, and it's like 2.5 hours long, and I'm like, man, there's no way I'm watching this anytime soon. I'm just like too I'm too on one. It's just bad.
Mhm,
But yeah, I guess I for me it is always spending time with people. It's being around people. I really love it. I really do. And like, but like, I will be oftentimes stressed out when I'm with people, but like as soon as I leave, I'm away from people, I feel such a sense of loss, and it's really hard. Sometimes, it's really hard to like walk away from that. So yeah, I think so. Yeah, I guess spending time with people is the best way. I also find video games work really well for me because they are consuming in every way. So
mhm.
it's like physically, mentally. I am, you know, so it's and I think it's just a distraction rather than a fix, but it allows me to kind of like not engage with that for a while, and I kind of quite like that. I don't.
It's okay to take a break.
It is, yeah. I think it's avoidance more than
It's okay
dealing
to
with it.
avoid for,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
true, and I think that I need that. You're right, because if avoidance, I guess, allows me to take a break. Whereas like watching watching something is so passive. It's easy for me to like my mind to wander, or yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
What about yourself?
So sometimes mine is can be symptomatic. So like I'll have a migraine or whatever, or I just like my fatigue level is at a point that I just can't do anything.
Hmm.
And then I feel sad about that because I can't, like Mike has to take the kids to school and I can't um parent and I can't do the things that I he does so much and I do so little because of my health stuff, but um to the things that I normally am able to do, like I hold on so tight and there's such little things. But when I can't do them, that's really hard. And so then,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm hard on myself. So usually, when it's fatigue related, I have to just lay in bed and I just have to allow and I'll just say, hey, Mike, it's a bed day. And he's like, okay. And then he knows like he's going to come in every 30 minutes and just be like, check on me, make sure I'm not crying. And, sometimes I have to take medication for it just to kind of pull me out of
yeah,
the really deep, dark stuff. Um, but I will say I'm getting better at allowing. Um, but my problem is, and this is why I have a hard time being just by myself, is I ruminate.
yeah,
And it's like this is like a topic in therapy every week. I ruminate. I think back like 15 years ago to this thing that happened, or 5 years ago to this thing that
yeah.
happened, or like, and it's like I can't change the past. But boy, can I think about it over and over and over and over and over,
I
right?
hear you.
And I can't pull I'm like actively working on trying not to ruminate right now. And that is the hardest part. And so I am always listening to a podcast. I am
Yeah,
always, like working on this podcast has been a really great way to avoid because I'm doing stuff on the back end, and it's just been nice to have something to do
yeah,
because I haven't had much to do for so many years, right? And um yeah, I I also don't, we moved here. I don't have a lot of I don't have a lot of community. I don't have a lot of friends
yeah.
here. And so where I can, just little things, I'm trying to be better about reaching out to people. Um, because I think I'm similar to you in that like I do
You
the
thrive off that.
energy. Yeah, I feed off of, being around people and laughing and all of that. So
Yeah. No,
yeah.
that's a good answer. I think I need a mic. I need a female mic.
It's pretty, I don't know, like I don't know what I would do without him,
Yeah,
honestly.
he's awesome.
Mhm.
No, it's a great answer. So something I had been thinking about was well, I suppose two different things. I mean, would you have any advice for any people who are feeling like this? And also, would you have any advice for people who have somebody else in their life who's going through this, like, what they could do?
Yeah. So, and I might have to ask you to repeat those questions.
Sure.
So I would say my advice is like do like a daily check
Yeah.
in on yourself. So like how am I feeling today? What's been worrying me lately? Or what's worrying me today?
Yeah.
Um, this is a big one. Am I providing my body with like the basic necessities, the basic needs? Like, am I feeding it? Am I watering
Yeah.
it? Is it getting enough sleep? Because those things for me, like, will totally throw me off. Um, you'll like this one. What am I doing to bring myself joy today?
Oh, nice.
Hmm.
Somebody really smart.
Yeah,
Must have
right.
said
Right.
come up with that one.
Who would that? And then do I have people like who do I have people in my corner that I could talk to today
Yeah,
if I need to?
that's a big one.
And it's really it's not like it's not a long-term thing. It's like a daily thing. It's
Yeah,
a it's unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know, that this level of self-awareness that you need to have to know like where you are and what you need. So that would be my advice is just to start there
yeah, I
and
like that. That's a
obviously
good
get a
one.
therapist
Yes.
if you can afford it. And I'll put this in the intro, but we have some resources both for the USA and the UK
Yep.
for folks that need emotional mental health support. And then what was the second part?
It was advice for people who maybe have somebody in their lives
Yeah,
who's struggling.
yeah, this is a good one.
It's tough.
This is like what I'm fiery about.
Yes, me
Like
too.
don't tell them to get over it.
Yes.
Don't tell them that you are, your problems are worse than theirs.
Yes.
Don't tell them oh, it just comes with age. Don't tell them that that there's something wrong with them. Don't tell them to shove it down. Like what I
Yeah.
would say is you know ask them if they need a hug. Ask
Yes.
them, if they need actual like someone to come over and help. Like ask them if they need a meal. Ask them what they need
Yes. Yes.
and
Exactly.
listen and
Yep.
listen and listen. That would be what I would say.
No, that's good. That's a good answer.
And you're gonna hear stuff like if you're the support person, you're gonna hear stuff that's might be scary. You're gonna hear stuff
Yes.
that you don't necessarily want to hear, and um, you just have to bear that burden
Yes.
because that's being a good family member or friend. So, what
I think
about you?
um so I'll take the first one, I guess, first. So like in terms of advice I'd have for people that are going through it is, I guess, don't internalize it. It's really it's so valuable getting it out there. It can be tough finding the right arena for that, the right person and whatever, but it is if feel things feel always feel a lot better when you vocalize them. I think, certainly in my opinion is and like I think that if things like are just circling through your head, they fester and they can become incredibly damaging, I think, and it's so much
I
worse.
I think you and I are verbal processors,
Yeah,
big time.
very much so.
Obviously,
I
here
think,
we are.
yeah, true. Like, I think that, like, as well, I mean, they're so, you know, and this is a conversation I've had with a few different friends. Like, there is such a sort of limited, your tools in terms of the words that you have to use are so limited in terms of describing what's going on. All you can do is the best you can do in terms of like thinking about it and vocalizing it to somebody. But as I say, I really do think it's important to talk to somebody, a professional, especially. So, like, if you can, if you have access to it, it is invaluable. I'm kind of the opinion that like therapy should be like running water. It should be like that ubiquitous. Everybody. The world would be infinitely better if we all
It would be
like.
like the fourth meal or something,
Yes,
right?
it would
It
be.
would just
Oh yeah,
you just add it in, right? Not every
like.
day, but
I mean, obviously, it would be a disaster for the economy and whatnot, but like stuff the economy, honestly. But anyway, um, so my advice for people who have somebody in their life that they see as struggling is, and this is a lot harder than people think, but is learn to listen. Like, shut up and listen. And if they want help, they will ask you for help. Because if you try to help them, it will just shut them down, and you will not get because like so many people seem to get caught up in this idea that there's a fix for everything, and I think and like accepting that there's not a fix sometimes. All you can do is kind of maintain or um it's it's a bit of a release in a way, you know, but I think it's a hard conclusion for a lot of people to kind of come to. I I think most of the people I know who I would say are good listeners have been through the ringer, kind of know the score, you know, or and like I love I have friends that I can ask, how are you doing? And they're like, I'm not good, but I don't want to talk about it. I'm like, no problems. Um, if you don't want to talk about it, let me know. And then and then we can just talk about other interests that we have just to kind of, because it's like there's nothing worse than really kind of forcing somebody to talk about something when they're not ready as well. You really need to have just patience, and it's hard. It's really hard, but I think just being there for them, like even if somebody is having a hard time and they don't want to talk about it, just being in the same room as them is huge. Um, there's a there's a song I let Beth listen to when we were in
Is this the
Old Note,
is this the I yeah,
the
I
Irish
listen
one.
to it like once a week. Yes,
We should post a link to it actually in the
I will.
so I listened to it. It came on when I was working the other night, and I was like, I will try not to cry, and I didn't cry, but then I immediately went and I listened to a song called Black Dog by Arlo Parks, which I think I might have sent to you before. I don't know if I did, but
You did.
it's like one of the most, like, in terms of a piece of music that best captures, I guess, the idea of depression. It's incredible, I think. And I listened to it immediately afterwards because it was like, I didn't cry for Old Note, and then immediately cried in my workplace while listening to Black Dog.
Can
um
we just talk about uh how crying is such a good thing?
oh, so cathartic. But it's like,
It is.
but like, how it's so interesting in a social setting if you cry, because people just freeze. They're just like, oh my god, what do I do? And it's like, it's such a shame because it's so, and then I think it just stops people from crying, and it's such an amazing release valve, at least, for me anyway.
Mhm. I cry if other people cry.
Yeah, I like cry.
I've always cried when other people, like, it's like my sister would hurt herself, I would cry, like, kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think, like I told you before, like my weird sort of crying at animated movies thing, which
No,
I did tell you this.
did you?
Yeah, I think it's so. I think I thought about it. I think it's related to An American Tail, the Fievel
Oh
movie,
yes. Oh,
right?
totally cried at that one.
And like I remember, so like there's a point where he kind of gets lost and he's singing. I can't remember the name of the song, but like he's singing
Somewhere out there.
somewhere out there. Oh God! And I remember like him being, and I so
Beneath the pale
yes.
moonlight.
Oh, Beth, don't. And I immediately empathized with him, and I was like on the same page as him, and I was like, so that so resonated with me, and I think that's what stays with me. But like, there's so many. If there's a sad moment in a cartoon, like I'll cry at like sad moments in stupid human movies, but
Mhm.
for like animated movies, it gets me so easily. It's crazy. It's like laser targeted to make me cry.
It's like it's your child self.
I think so. Yeah,
It's your soft self.
it is.
That's just like the guard is down, you're watching a cartoon, right?
It's like, especially though, like I don't know why, but see, like overcoming the odds moments, or like whenever, like the one bit that gets me, and it'll it's bizarre, is that in The Incredibles, The Incredibles.
Mhm. Oh
Okay,
yeah.
so whenever this is the first movie, whenever the family goes to the island, and they are like the first time they're ever sort of working as a team, and they're like fighting all the kind of bad guys, that kills me. I'm crying my eyes out and that the whole way through.
We had I cry at movies a lot.
Yeah,
We watched so the first time I'm sure I talk about The Greatest Showman all the time, but the first time I
yeah,
watched it, it was like it was because I've had to sort of retool, okay, what is my life going to look like?
yeah,
Um and the whole I get like Barnum and Bailey Circus and all the horrible things they did, but
yeah,
the musical's really good, and that it's a different, so but it's the whole idea is, this is the life, I'm going to have. This is the life I'm going to lead. This is all of the adventure we're going to have. Like, you can create the world, you can create the world you want to have. And I was just like,
Yeah.
like, cried through the whole movie. The kids are just like, are you okay? Like, so for me, it's that idea of creating the world the way that you want to see it,
Yeah, very much so.
me, and meaning me, right?
Yes,
Obviously.
100%. Yeah, I got you.
So, but yeah, was it somewhere out there?
It is. That's definitely the
Okay, I'm
American
gonna double
Tail.
check because I'm not trusting my.
No, it is. It definitely is. You said
Okay,
it, and immediately I
okay,
remembered it. It is.
okay. When he's like
Because
sitting in the window.
somewhere out there. Du-du-du-du-du-du.
Someone's thinking of me.
You can't tell listeners that we're both blubbing our eyes out now.
Right. Um, do you have any more questions?
I don't
You
think
wanna?
so. I mean,
This is something I could literally talk about this like
yeah, we could
forever.
do like a 3 hour podcast on this, I think. I mean, like, I
Yeah,
think it might be
we
a
can
good,
revisit it
yeah, I think
maybe
it'll
in
be
like
good.
6 months or something.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good one to revisit. And I guess kind of if anybody who's listening has any questions or any
Mm.
things that we didn't cover that you want to go over, and let us know and we can do it again. Because like I think some people have already said to me that they wanted more like travel stuff and things like that. And I think
Okay.
so like, there's definitely the capacity for doing more of this. I think this is I think this is a topic that's relevant to the mental health. And back to now is sort of relevant to a lot of people. I think like everybody has mental health struggles, I really do. And I think that it's like such a underserved part of our like society. So yeah, again, yeah, if there, and if hearing us talk about any of these things was helpful to you, then that's awesome. And if you've got, as I say, if you have any more questions or anything else you'd like to go over in this area, please let us know.
Yeah. And you can email us at support@bendypodcast.com. We're on all the socials, Bendy the podcast. So you can, you don't have to post it. You can DM us.
Yeah.
And have private conversations. But and if you do have anything to share that would be helpful for other people, we'll definitely add it to our website and put it up on the social media channels.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Do you want to talk about joy?
Oh yeah. So,
Haha.
oh no. So what's bringing me joy? Oh, what a
Yes,
nightmare.
on the spot, my
Oh,
friend.
So I have a good one. So I guess I was gonna do music, but I talked about the songs that were resonant with me recently. Um, and music's constantly bringing me joy. It really is. But I think I might do a few playlists actually and put them in
Can we
the
do
feed.
can we do a Bendy playlist
Yeah, we
for
should.
like
Like I've got a
Spotify?
few some
Yeah.
songs I think people would like. But
Andy's got really good taste in music.
thank
I'm just gonna say.
you.
Yeah. Mine
Um
is like all over the map and makes no sense, but that's just how my brain works.
I mean, mine's pretty much all over the map too, but like I think I really kind of like to, I don't know, I really like to seek out interesting stuff. But anyway, so I have been reading a book called Boyfriends, and one of my male friends bought it for me. Let's show it to Mike if you're listening. It's an amazing gift. But it's a guy's memoir talking about the male friends he's had in his life and
Oh.
taking stock of it all. It's the centerpiece is basically he was friends with a guy that was in a band. I think they're called Frightened Rabbit. People are going to be mad with me if I get this wrong, but he was in the
Don't be
band.
mad at Andy.
Don't be mad
Let
at
him
me.
finish.
And he committed suicide. And he was this guy's best friend. And the framework for the book is that he's writing this in the months after his friend has killed himself. So he's writing about his life after then and how he's dealing with the grief of and the loss of a friend who was that close to him.
Mhm.
And he's just going through all of his friendships in his life, like very warts and all. And I'm really enjoying it. It's really invigorating. It's such a kind of really kind of unflinching look at sort of male friendships and the bonds that they form, and like how important they are. Um, and also like how rare that sort of, meaningful connection is, so yeah, it's really bringing me joy this week.
That's great. I will find it and
Yeah,
post it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll like, yeah.
I wrote myself a note, so
Okay.
don't worry about it. So I always have to write these down because on the spot I'm just like, nothing. What are you talking about?
Joy.
Joy. But actually, so I've been trying to talk with my friend Zan,
Uh-huh.
who I've known her since like 2004. I hired her when I was working at the college. She was like the first student I ever hired. And it's like I was like 23 and she was like 20. So, the age difference isn't that terrible at that point. And then she graduated and we just became like such good friends. And um so she's the one that told me about the tomato timer.
Okay.
So thanks, Anne. And then she was like, I have to show you something. And I'm not meaning this to be like, demeaning or make you feel bad in any way, but she holds her phone up and there's a voicemail for me from 2018. And she was like, this is the last time that you sent me a voicemail. And like, granted, I texted her like, a couple, but
Yeah.
like, she was like, I wasn't going to delete this until I talked to you again. And then I could delete it. Right. Um, but I was like, yeah, well, thinking through, like, I was working full time. I was like
Yep.
lobbying in DC, and then we went to yoga, and then I got COVID, and then I was like dying, and I was like, these are all the reasons. And, she was like, and I'm like, I'm like, glad you saved the voicemail, because what if I died? Right. And she was like, haha. But it was just like, I think I said an episode ago or something that I was going to work harder. What, the friendship episode,
Yes.
where I was like, I'm going to work harder at being like a better friend. And so I've actually been active on that. And so talked to her for like 2 hours. She is doing amazing. She took the photos that are wedding, Mike's on my wedding. We had babies on the same day, on the same year. She had Elizabeth and I had Charles. So we know that we have royalty coming down the lineage. But it was so nice to connect with someone that knows me so well, has known me so long, and like, it's just nice to be remembered, and like, that she was holding on this voicemail from
Very
me, like,
sweet.
yeah. And it did make me feel a little bad.
Sure.
But I was like, and now you can never delete it. And she's like, I
Yes.
know. So, but I would say my joy is reconnecting with her.
That's lovely.
It's been great. Yeah. So
Good. Awesome. Good. Great one. Yeah, that's really
yes,
nice. Lovely. That's
she's a
not.
good egg. And she
The,
has like a farm in Vermont now with like 1,500 sheep.
what was the name again? Sorry. Zane?
Zan. So
Zana.
her name's
Okay.
Susanna.
Susanna. Okay, she's Susanna.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Zan.
Yeah. Hi, Zan. Yeah. And
Um,
yeah.
that's a lovely one. Yeah, I like it a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always nice. I mean, there's it's reminded me of somebody in particular that I do actually need to reach out to.
Reaching out to.
We've talked about this person before, and I need to make an effort because I still feel. I just want to say that I just want to catch up with them again, and I need to just be the person who does that. I think I'm pretty good with that in my life. Like I'm not like there's so many people I know who are just like haven't heard from that person in ages, and I'm like, have you reached out to them? No. Well, like I'm not like super prideful, like, oh, this person hasn't spoken to me in a long time. I'm just like, yeah, you know what? If I want to speak to this person, I'm going to speak to them. They don't need. I hate that sort of build because like what a crap way to lose a friend is because nobody can make the effort to make that first step.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway.
Yep. Okay, well, I'm going to be your accountability buddy on this. So next
Okay.
week, you're going to tell me that you reached out to them.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Done deal. Okay. It fills me with trepidation, but I'm gonna do
I
it.
know. Stress. Here you go.
Yeah. Sounds good. Oh, okay, yeah. I've got something else, but it's off pause. Okay.
Okay.
Hey, sorry, listeners.
Maybe we'll have a what are they, Patreon, where we talk about
Yeah, all our
all the
secret.
next year.
Yeah,
We'll figure
exactly.
that out. Anyways, well, thank you, listeners.
Thank you, listeners. We love you. Yeah, yeah. Know what? Yeah, pay Patreon because I love doing this. So, like, if we could be paid for this, this would be
That's
freaking
kind of what I'm
awesome.
thinking. I know it would be nice.
So,
So
you like it. You want to pay for it, okay? But yes. So we love you. Great to see you as always.
always,
And
thank you, everybody.
so ready, stay.
Okay. Stay.
Okay. Stay
Stay
bendy.
Bendy.
Amazing or best yet.
That's the best
Bye.
one. Bye.